What's up with it, Raider Nation? It's your boy, Raider Honcho, and I'm back with a brand new video for
Remy in my cup, turn me up, what we talking about? Now we doing us, moving up, what we talking about? Raider flags waving off the truck, what they talking about? Raider Nation dominating, only thing to talk about. Black shades, black tee, that's Raider Honcho, baby. East Coast, energy, that's Raider Honcho, baby. Head coach.
Alright guys, get right into it, man. I'm still under the weather. I'm still not 100%. The only remedy, the only thing that could have fixed this damn flu that I got right now would have been the Raiders just smacking the Commanders yesterday. But we all know that didn't happen, okay? We saw what we saw. We hated what we saw. We cannot accept what is going on right now. Mentally, we just cannot grasp the reality of the situation. And this is not one of those I told you so videos. This ain't no I told you this, I told you that. Because we all in this together right now. We all are suffering the same thing. We all are realizing that we got the same fate. Whether you like Geno, you don't like Geno. If you thought Jeanty was a bad pick, if you thought it was a good pick. At the end of the day, we're all fans of the Raiders. And we are struggling together. We have to face this head on and we got to come together. But in order for us to understand, not for us to accept, not for us to like or to agree, but in order for us to understand what's going on, we got to have realistic conversations. We got to have logical conversations. We cannot be sitting here being driven by our emotions, being driven by our fandom, being driven by the fact that we love the Las Vegas Raiders and love the Los Angeles Raiders and loved even more the Oakland Raiders, okay? We cannot sacrifice our logic, right, and move with just passion. Okay, so when you put the passion to the side, I think you'll understand, whether you agree with it or not, you'll understand that what is happening with the Raiders is what's supposed to happen with the Raiders. Okay, because at the end of the day, if I have a boxing match coming up and I don't spar and I don't do my road work and get my conditioning, I'm supposed to go out there and struggle. Okay, because I didn't do the necessary things it takes to succeed in that situation. And when you talk about the Raiders, did the Raiders do some good things in the offseason? Absolutely. But when push comes to shove, the Raiders didn't address the things that were most important. The Raiders didn't address the things that really make the biggest difference when it comes to winning games. And that's not to say they didn't do anything, because the Raiders had so many situations, they had so many problems that even with trying to fix some of them, you were still going to have gaping holes. And that's what's happening right now. The Raiders have tried to put a Band-Aid over a bullet wound, and that's drafting Ashton Jeanty, right? You tried to put some deodorant on the stinky situation at quarterback, so you went and got Geno Smith. But the truth of the matter is, neither one of those guys can overperform or outperform the deficiencies that are around this team. And that's what I've been trying to say, and maybe it's been getting lost in translation because I come off and I'm super loud and I'm super aggressive, and I'm from Jersey. But I think what I've been just trying to tell y'all is I'm actually trying to prepare you guys for what you guys are going to see on Sundays. It's not to sit there like, I told you don't know shit about football. No, I'm not saying that. I'm just trying to help you understand. Maybe my message wasn't getting through, but what is happening with the Raiders right now is supposed to happen with the Raiders right now because of the steps they took to get here. Okay, the steps they took to get here is why we're here. They didn't address the trenches. Okay, no matter how good of a running back Ashton Jeanty is or what he could be, he's not going to be able to do anything with the offensive line the way he's got right now. Geno Smith is not going to be able to do what Geno Smith can do with the offensive line the way it is right now. And this is what I meant about Geno Smith when I said before, it's like Geno Smith, the offensive line, the wide receiver core, the defense, and I kept saying mid, right? Because at the end of the day, there's two types of quarterbacks to me. Okay, there's quarterbacks that can make every throw, and there's quarterbacks that can make every throw if. Okay, and you might not want to accept that, but to me, that's my opinion. There are two types of quarterbacks. You can make every throw, or you can make every throw if. And Geno Smith is the kind of quarterback that can make every throw if he has a clean pocket, if the protection holds up, if he doesn't have to get off his spot, if the wide receivers are XYZ, right? There's certain quarterbacks that can make every throw no matter what. You got the Patrick Mahomes, you got the Lamar Jacksons, you got the Josh Allens, right? Like, even in my opinion, I thought Derek Carr could make every throw, right? Geno Smith can make every throw if ... So right now, the if is if he has a clean pocket, and he doesn't. Because Geno Smith relies on so much timing, like a lot of quarterbacks do, that if the protection doesn't hold up, he doesn't have the timing. And the honest truth is, his outside receivers, as good as Trey Tucker is playing, and as good as Jacoby Myers is a number 2. He's not a a real number one, no matter how good you think he is. Let's just be honest about it. On most teams in the NFL, he's a number two. Right? On most good teams, I should say. So Geno Smith, as good as he is not at the level where he can overperform or outperform the deficiencies that the Raiders have. He doesn't have a guaranteed go up and get a wide receiver. He has that in tight end and Brock Bowers, but if the offensive line is struggling, Brock Bowers is going to have to stay in and block more. He's going to have to chip more. He's not going to be out there as the number one in those routes, right? He's going to have to be a second and third option. When the line's not protecting, you don't get to a second and third option, okay? So I'm not here to be like, the Raiders this, the Raiders that, but the truth of the matter is the Raiders are where they're supposed to be right now, okay? Like, there are better teams than us, that are better coached than us, that have been together longer, they have more continuity, they have more chemistry, they know what they're doing. The Raiders are just throwing a bunch of shit at the wall, seeing what sticks. I love Pete Carroll, but Pete Carroll doesn't have the type of roster to be the Pete Carroll that we know him to be, right? Geno Smith is good. Geno Smith doesn't have the things around him to be what Geno Smith has been known to be the last 2 years. I always said that I haven't seen enough of Geno Smith to think he's an elite quarterback or a top 10 quarterback, but he's better than what he's been right now, and he can only be what he's been right now based on the things that are around him, okay? And that's just where we are right now. So you need to buckle up. You need to stop crying about fire this guy and fire that guy, because at the end of the day, all you're doing is taking the accountability away from you as a fan and what you should have known as a fan. Like, don't try to fire everybody now when the shit's not going the way you thought it was going to go. You shouldn't have thought it was going to go that way. You know what I mean? And I think that's the separation with me and a lot of, not content creators, but just a lot of fans in general, is that I love the Raiders, right? I love being a Raider fan. I've been a Raider fan my whole life. My parents were Raider fans. My grandmother was Raider fan. Like, we are Raiders fans. But at the end of the day, in my years of coaching and being around football as long as I have, no matter how much I am a fan of somebody and I root for somebody, I still can't neglect the obvious situation. I still can't neglect the elephant in the room. And at the end of the day, the elephant in the room is the Raiders don't have enough to be as competitive as you want them to be. The Raiders don't have enough to be as good as you want them to be. The Raiders don't have enough to get as far as you want them to go. But that's a you problem, okay? Because the masses or the people that know what's going on aren't going to be that confused and that upset and have all these arbitrary reactions, all these knee-jerk reactions of do this and do that. At the end of the day, we need to just sit back and watch the damn games and understand what we're seeing. And if you understand what we're seeing, you're not going to be all that mad. You're going to be upset. You're going to be frustrated. But like disappointment, how can you be that disappointment if your expectations are actually logical? The logical expectations are this is a 7-win team. Can they get more wins than that? Yes. Can they have less wins than that? Yes. But stop thinking you're going to go out there and watch teams that are put together like the Chargers, teams that are put together like the Rams, or these teams that have the infrastructure to be successful and then be mad when they're not successful, okay? So at the end of the day, understand what you're watching. Do the homework. Do the research. Go watch Sanjeet. Sanjeet got his shit on. His shit is on point. He's showing you what the line can't do. The linemen are missing blocks. The linemen are getting blown back into the backfield. Jeanty's not a bust. Jeanty's just getting his ass busted. That's a different thing. Pause. But like, you can't expect Ashton Jeanty to run through gaps that aren't there. You can't expect him to run through 300-pound linemen that are going to him without getting touched. Like, it's just not going to happen. You got to be realistic. The Raiders have good players, but they're not good enough to get the job done against teams that are better. And that's it. Okay, now where do we go from here? I don't really know. We got to just watch the season. It looks like we're going to get a pretty high draft pick unless we turn it around. I'm not saying the season's over. I'm not saying the sky is falling. I can't say that because my expectations of the ceiling were never that high for them to fall. I think the Raiders are doing what I thought the Raiders would do. They'll be competitive for a quarter or so, but the cream is always going to rise to the top. And I was more disappointed yesterday with how we allowed the Commanders to come out with a backup quarterback and look like they didn't miss a step. They almost look just as good as when they had Jaden Daniels, where we're turning the ball over, we're not getting stops, people are running all up and down the field wide open. It's just not a good look. And we need to find a way to figure it out as a coaching staff. They got to get it done. They get paid the big bucks to do that. But as fans, we got to stop jumping out the window and thinking a team is way better than they are, and then jumping out the window because they're not as good as you thought they were. We got to be able to preference our expectations, and we got to be able to look at things logically and not just passionately, okay? As a fan, you can do that, but as somebody who wants to know what's going on, there's more than meets the eyes. You got to read it in between the lines, and that's just what it is, okay? So if you like the video, like the video. If you like anything you've seen, just subscribe to the channel. I want you guys to get down in the comments and let me know what you think, man. Like, what is the Raiders' biggest issues? How are you dealing with it? How are you coping with this, okay? Because we in this shit together, man. All right, hit me up on Instagram and Twitter. Both of those are at Raider Honcho. I'm going to go take some Theraflu. I'm going to go do it. I don't know, man. I'm going to go in the sauna. I don't know. I need to get this shit out of my system because I can't fucking breathe right now. But until the next time, as always, Raider Honcho out.